I paid child support not only 18 years, I paid it 20 years.
But are not the father.
$610. They're taking $70 a week.
Half of his wages. So up until the point that they started garnishing his wages, it was going into arrears, drawing interest, and now is over $92,606.06.
Please tell the court, why do you have multiple men supporting your children?
Your Honor, I'm a full-time nurse.
This man has been paying child support for 15 years. He believes the child is not his and that it caused him and his family hardship.
Mr. Connor, you say a one-time fling with the defendant turned into more than 15 years of child support payments and even jail time for a child. You need today's results to prove you are not her child's father.
When asked how important the result is to him, here's a shocking revelation.
I need to undo a terrible injustice that's been inflicted upon me and my family. It's caused a lot of problems, financially especially. I've even been to jail.
For failure to pay
For
child
failure
support.
to pay child support. That is correct, Your Honor. It's making my character look real bad, Your Honor. I know for a fact that she know he's not my son.
Miss Wallace insists he's the father and revealed that his absence affected their son's needs when growing up.
Tell the court, you say your son had to grow up without...
Yes, ask Jeffrey, ask him. He went to school with holes in his shoes.
What relationship did he have with Miss Wallace? Check it out.
You say the relationship with Miss Wallace was a one-night stand.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that? Do you remember this relationship, encounter?
There wasn't a relationship. I met her through a family member. We came together one time, and that was that. I never knew anything about Jeffrey.
He thinks she tried setting him up, and he wants to be the father badly. Here's his reason.
Do you remember being told she was pregnant?
Only by the friend, and I blew that off because a penetration act, she intentionally done this. That's a crime.
And why would she intentionally trap you?
At the time, I was doing pretty good.
It's time for the son to give his testimony.
Can you tell me, when was the first time you heard about Mr. Connor?
The first time that I met Jewett here was, I was like, 10 years old at that point. I remember my mom, some other family members were riding around East St. Louis, and we decided to stop through this drive-through liquor store. And one of my family members was like, hey, that's your dad.
Mr. Jewett's wife was asked to give her testimony too.
At this point, when Jeffrey was 10, was your husband paying child support for Jeffrey?
Yes, he was paying child support for Jeffrey already. And we didn't see Jeffrey again until he was, I want to say maybe like 15 or so.
When asked about the Facebook post, his reply was touching.
I decided to express myself on Facebook, and then as Ms. Trina said, she did reach out to me, and they kind of both told me at that point that it's a possibility I may not be his child. And then when I hear them say, hey, I may not be his child, it got me thinking like, darn, our presence on this earth just made a negative impact on someone else's life.
Oh.
No.
And
It's time for the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Connor, you are not the father.
I already knew it.
A woman comes to court to prove to a man and his daughter what she had been certain of her whole life. He is her biological father.
Ms. Smith, you and your father, Mr. Wooten, are suing to prove Ms. Backus is not his biological daughter. You say your dad owes more than $92,000 in back child support for a child who isn't his.
She believes her father's life has been ruined by Miss Backus.
How do you think Ms. Backus has ruined your father's life?
Primarily through the actions of her mother, by being very deceitful with my father from the very beginning of their relationship. So up until the point that they started garnishing his wages, drawing interest, and now is over $92,606.06.
Here's why Miss Backus believes he is the father.
And guess when I was conceived? I was conceived when a year later after him and my mother was together. And they was together for 7 years, so you tell me.
They were not together for 7 years.
Mr. Wooten would go on to explain his relationship with Miss Backus's mother.
I met her mother, I think about 2 months after we met, been together. She said she was pregnant. 4 months after we was together, we broke up.
Well, Daddy, you and Mama got two different stories, and I'm coming to find out the truth.
Because
I realized that most of the things that she was only interested in was me helping her financially.
Judge Lauren asked when he started doubting her paternity, but she wouldn't let him answer.
Did you start doubting that?
When she had,
My mama said I was a
when
playing
she
child.
became pregnant again, we got together 3 weeks after we was together. Then she
Father,
told me
no
she was
disrespect
pregnant.
and not to interrupt you, but my mother told me y'all sat on the couch and she told me that you had said that you wanted another child.
Yeah.
That's what my grandmother made peace with me before she passed away. She told me that she do not like my mother at all.
As Miss Smith tries to talk, she wouldn't stop interrupting her.
She did not know everything that was going on.
And so those experiences, seeing the different men.
Time after time, different circumstances.
You a
that
lie.
were
Why you
brought to
lying on
us
my mama like
of
that,
how
bro?
much that
See, you
Miss
gon-
Daniels
and-
fucked.
No,
and
eat
that
your
is
words
the
today.
basis of your doubt.
It's time for the results.
When it comes to Mr. Wooten Jr., you are not her father.
Man refuses to pay child support for twins after he discovers that he is not the only man paying to support the babies.
Paying for your twins after finding out another man was also providing money.
Yes.
Now you say you are seeking the results of a paternity test to prove he's their father and to get him to pay up once again.
She claims the other man taking care of her children do so because of her.
Come into my life, you say you want to be with me. I'm not an ugly person. You're liking me. If you like me, show me. Prove it to me. Me and my kids need some help. So if you like me, I'd like that you would help me then.
Mr. Little, on the other hand, believes they help out because they think they are the father.
Oh, a personal mechanic.
Yes, ma'am. She was looking for a vehicle, and I was helping her search for a good vehicle. So we spent a lot of time back and forth looking for cars.
So you really are a car mechanic.
Yes, ma'am.
So in this process of looking for a car, you end up having sex
Yes, Your Honor.
with Miss Clifton. That has never happened when I was looking for a car.
The judge had to ask her how that happened.
A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, I was looking for a vehicle. She told me, I know a place that you can go. The mechanic there, he's nice. He's supposed
When
to
she
be single.
said you need a good mechanic, didn't she mean just in your Rolodex, not in your bed?
While answering further, she would drop a bomb on the court.
He was at my house. I made a joke to him, like, what would you do if I got pregnant? Just joke. And he was like, you can't do that. And I'm like, why? He said, because my wife would divorce me. A wife?
Oh!
I'm like, what is that? When did you get one of them?
Wait a minute now, Mr. Little. Now you had a wife this whole time?
Well,
He claims she had asked him for sex first.
I can still pay you for services.
Miss Clifton, she actually came by my job. Then immediately, she propositioned me for sex. Okay.
When she informed him of the pregnancy, he accepted. So, what changed?
At that point, you accepted
Yes,
that
ma'am.
you were the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you start doubting it?
I get a random text from her texting this other guy about how much she loved him, cared for him, want to be with him, and I appreciate everything you do for the kids. And I'm like, wow.
Here's the evidence.
Maybe a day or so went by. I never confronted her that I had gotten a text. I asked her, have they been together? She said yes.
He
Do you think
you were pregnant by him.
Okay. So she said
Don't lie,
he
you told
thought it was a possibility. Why would he think it was a possibility? But
To her, there was no possibility.
He knows they miss the little children. He know that they are not his. This man knows that.
But
Mr.
I
Little
don't-
is
but I don't
upset.
know him, Your Honor.
You don't got to know him. You don't have to know. I don't know his
Okay,
wife.
Your Honor.
I don't know if she knows about my kids.
Here's another reason for his doubt.
I got my car, walked to the door, I rang the doorbell. I'm waiting, and it's kind of odd because she always comes to the door because I have an open door policy. She said, okay, so I'm waiting.
And he does.
She opens
He
it
does.
to see the twins. So I set Pampers in the milk down, and I go to play with the twins. I'm playing with the twins. I see some random guy walk out of the back, walk past me, and goes out the door.
She claims she reaches out to her male friends whenever she needs money.
You reached out to this man because you knew he liked you and you needed money. So you basically reached out to use him for the money?
Not to use him, but to get some help from him. I might reach out to you, Judge, if we ain't got nothing. I'm gonna reach out to the
She also brought a witness to court.
About this situation.
Well, first of all, my daughter's self-sufficient. She's always worked and gone to school, and I'm very proud of her. And Sam started out being a proud father. And I think jealousy raised his ugly head, which made him stop. And his old long head, no,
I've
them
always,
his
I've
children.
always taken
So
care
what
of
you're
my children.
saying is
It's time for the results.
Mr. Little, you are not.
Not.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. 'Cause to be honest with you, I actually thought they were.
Paternity fraud refers to a situation where a man is wrongly named as the biological father of a child. This can occur when a woman intentionally or unintentionally misleads a man into believing that he is the father, or when a man assumes paternity without conducting DNA test. Some women out there are out to ruin men. For years now, this has been, and it's as common more than you can think of. Now, you have to watch out as a man for those women that come intentionally to ruin men of their hard-earned money. They deprive them of their resources when they know that the child does not actually belong to this man. And this man goes ahead for years thinking that this child is his, whereas it belonged to another man. For 18 years, 20 years, 25 years, this man ignorantly raises a child that does not belong to him. This is painful, injustice, unfairness, and so much has to be done about it. Some women intentionally do this. The gravity of paternity fraud can be significant, affecting not just the individuals involved but also the wider social and legal system. Think about how this child is affected. Emotional trauma, damages psychologically. And then what about this man? He is emotionally and psychologically traumatized, financially raped, emotionally raped, distrust for the woman, and no more love and trust for the woman who misled him. Just like rape, which is when one has a sexual encounter and one of the parties does not give consent. MANRAPE, there was no consent, and that brings me to the term MANRAPE. A man is raped a little bit every day of his life for the next 18 to 25 years. He is raped emotionally and certainly financially to be his wife or his lover. For years, this woman deceived, lied, and misled him to believe that this child was his, a child who calls him father. He is emotionally bonded and tied with this child, only to be told casually and selfishly that he is not the father. He does everything, provides and cares for the family, doing something from a sexual encounter. His consent was not given. He pays for everything, and then all of a sudden, he was told that he is not the father. That is very heartbreaking and emotional damage for this man. Consent, that is the word. There was never a consent. He didn't consent to this child, which doesn't belong to him but to another man. Something definitely needs to be done about this. And that is why it is important that an individual takes steps to verify paternity before assuming legal and financial obligation for a child.
You are not the father.
Told you so.
I'm sorry, Mr. G. Can you tell the court what you're feeling in this moment?
But you can't do this to me.
You know how much I sacrificed? Trey, this Lord, I just feel like I ain't dope. You know what I'm saying? I'm a good dude, man. I don't deserve that.
Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve. 5 years in prison for failing to pay child support for the defendant, Ms. Sears' son, Dylan.
That's right.
Now, and what are you feeling in this moment?
I feel like I have never, ever deserved disrespect. I was not the woman that showed up at your doorstep every 2 months. You're going to be my baby's daddy. I have never disrespected you. I let you be and live your life and live your selfish life you have lived for the last 20 years.
Ran 2 tests. The results are as follows. In the case of Manser versus Sear, as it pertains to 20-year-old Dylan Sear, Mr. Manser, you are not
Oh, God.
his father.
Oh, man. 5 years in prison. Oh my God. She should be convicted of some crime.
No, I should not. I didn't.
That is fraud.
Mr. Manser,
That is fraud.
I know you're upset. Do you want to find out who your father is?
Of course.
Miss Sear, do you know?
Yes, ma'am.
You know who his father is?
Yes, I talk to him still.
Listen.
Get away from my son.
He apologized.
And under another breath, he's calling me a liar.
You cannot stand there and really suggest that you cannot comprehend why this man would not have any type of ill feeling, frustration, or regret as it relates to anything involving you. 5 years in prison. And then I say, do you know who your son's father is? And you say, yes, I'm still in touch with him. That is a really huge pill to swallow.
Buying stuff for him.
Why would I buy stuff for my son?
Because he's not your son. Sad to say, but he's not your son.
Whoa. What the hell you mean he's not my son?
He's not your son. I've been meaning to tell you for the past 7 years. He's not your son.
Oh, you've
Stop
been
buying
meaning to
him
tell
stuff.
me for 7 years that the child that I've been raising with you is not mine?
You're not even raising him. The only thing that you do is take him to school. Why do you think he don't look like you? Why you think he don't have your personality? Hell, he don't even like.
This might be an unpopular opinion, but women who do this should be up for jail time. Like, if you don't know, that's one thing. But if you know, lock that bitch up. And it's just the way she carried it too, because like, if that was his son and he wasn't taking him to school and buying stuff for him, then that would automatically give her the right to his finances. So yeah, it is sad to say.
Studies show that paternity fraud is more common in cases involving African American and Hispanic families. National Institute of Justice.
Can we talk about the DNA testing center? I had two guys call in. They work at DNA testing centers. One guy had to quit. One guy still works there. He told me 40% of the children are not the man's child. 40%. He said 40%.
Somebody call Maury.
It's usually
make DNA testing
it's
mandatory.
It's two scenarios. It's where the woman, the person's getting a DNA test because the woman claims that is their child. Turns out it's not. The other one is where the parent is on a deathbed and makes a confession, or they need a liver transplant, blood transfusion, and the blood type. There's no way that can actually be the father. So then they find out that because of medical reasons. You mean that's not my father? Then the father finds out from that way. He said it took such a toll on him that he could no longer do it because he would be sitting on the phone counseling the men and the grown children who these women falsely accuse.
Anywhere from 5 to 30% of the general population, men are raising and paying for children that are not theirs and don't know. According to the American Association of Blood Banks, between 25 and 30% of the males who are accused of being the father, they take a paternity test and find out they did not do it.
Are you for mandatory DNA testing at birth?
I am absolutely on record as saying that if we want to prevent the problem of having men challenge paternity later down the road, then let's apply a proactive solution. Automatic DNA testing at birth would work to help two things. One, we would assure that the right parents were named on the birth certificate. Two, it would stop paternity fraud and take the profit out of paternity fraud.